live from New York. It's the show that...
I'm good.
Bro,
I sound normal.
It's been 2 weeks.
It's just a virus.
Have you seen a doctor?
No.
It's just a virus?
I live with a doctor.
What?
That's
I'm
even
married
worse.
to a doctor. She said I'm fine. She said it's just a virus. She said you'll be all
Time
right.
out. You didn't tell me it was a virus? Just a virus?
He's been next to you for 2 weeks.
It's just a virus, Wild.
Just a fill in the blank. Couldn't be anything. Virus was not
I have done my test and they were negative.
Oh, I'm not worried
Don't worry
about
about
your
that.
health. I'm worried about your voice.
Yeah, when we get back
Yeah.
next week, I'll be
First hour,
100%.
first things first.
Thanks.
Maybe we start with one of the most chaotic endings in recent NBA history. 12 seconds left. Bulls down 5 with the ball. LeBron loses Patrick Williams, who hits the three. No big deal.
That's not a big deal. This is.
Then LeBron, not
That's
a great
a
inbound
disaster.
pass to Giddey. Kobe White, fresh off of King of the Hill,
Yeah, exactly.
drains the three. Austin Reeves like, don't worry, game winner. Lakers should win this one. Nope, Giddey gets the ball back.
Especially when the Bulls have no timeouts. Having no timeouts is a death knell there unless that happens.
Bang, your reaction to everything.
Just that last quarter was just outrageous. The Bulls had 75 points through 3 quarters. A team that scored essentially 150 in the last game had half that through 3 quarters. And the Lakers were up 16 with 9 minutes left, up 13 with 5.5 left, and as you just showed, up 5 with 12 seconds left, and up 1 with 1 second left. And they lost. Listen, the opening, the 3 to cut it from 5 to 2, I am not as concerned by that. LeBron's right, it was miscommunication. I'm not entirely, maybe it was LeBron's guy.
The Patrick Williams.
Yeah, Patrick Williams one. I just know that there were 4 guys guarding 3, and then LeBron was left to guard 2. So something got screwed up there. But giving up a 3 up 5 is not a big deal. No. Like, if they would, because they would have given him a layup if they wanted it. The inbounds by LeBron is just as bad of a mistake as he's made all year. It's just as bad of a turnover as somebody can make. And then, listen, I joke about basketball gods and sports gods, but after this sequence here, Lakers deserve to lose. So Austin tried to save them, but it's not unfair or unlucky that Giddey made that shot. I know it sounds like it's unlucky because you got beat by a half quarter, but you should have never been in that position. And so this to me is further confirmation, Brew, that if at any given moment this team loses focus or connection defensively, they can instantly become just awful defensively. So they give 75 points through 3 quarters and 44 in the last quarter. And so they give up 25 points a quarter and then the equivalent of 132 points through 3 quarters. So now 11 threes is a little unlucky, but yeah, I mean, they do not have the luxury of being able to take their foot off the gas on the defensive end of the court, or any game can become a game.
Yeah, it was unbelievable the way this game ended. First of all, because of all the things that happened that you just talked about and we just showed. And secondly, because just 24 hours ago, 24 hours before this game, LeBron James, and we illustrated it, LeBron showed all his greatness at the end of that Indiana game.
Yes.
How he was smart, to pass out of the double team to Luka and get in position for the offensive rebound and all of that stuff. And then a day later, everything was the opposite. And LeBron, and you showed, I think he was overcommitted on Vucevic, if we can see that last 3, or I don't know if it's the last 3. But he's overcommitted to Vucevic, and then that allows Williams to get an open 3, or fairly open 3. He tried to contest. And then fortunately for LeBron and Lakers fans, the stakes weren't really that high. But this was his moment where this was Isaiah Thomas, right, in the Eastern Conference Finals. So obviously this isn't as bad. But throwing the ball to Larry Bird and getting it stolen in the Conference Finals, 1987. This is Magic Johnson throwing the ball to James Worthy and Robert Parrish stealing it in the NBA Finals when they called him Tragic Johnson. where an all-time great passer just inexplicably makes.
And it just like
I don't even know how
it.
you explain
No,
it.
Right. I don't think you can, and I want you to keep going. But if we can just show that again, just when I was saying I didn't know, when LeBron says miscommunication on the first three, my point is this: you can't have 4 guys on 3 balls.
No, Rivers could have been on. Rivers, look.
Reeves,
Reeves. I'm sorry.
So
Reeves could have been on
there,
Vucevic,
and then LeBron dropped down.
could have been
Okay.
where he was.
All right, but as you were.
But yeah, I mean, the pass, for some reason, he was just focused in on getting it to Austin Reeves. And that's why he forced it to him, and that was a bad pass. So, interestingly, in this last 12 seconds, LeBron went from, well, not the last 12 seconds, last day, from the hero a day ago to the GOAT in a negative sense in this game. And Josh Giddey went from GOAT because with 12 seconds left, we have it here, he airballs a layup. And that was a great contest by LeBron.
Yeah.
But an NBA player who's 6'8" like Josh Giddey should not be airballing a layup. I think we have the video, but whether we do or not, he airballed a layup.
So did you view that?
I thought it was terrible.
Add another layer to this topsy-turvy game. Because when I was watching this game, I was like, what an amazing play by LeBron.
It was a good play. But
that he's going to get no credit for, because he went up, and Giddey is still, I truly believe this. I think the Iguodala block lives rent-free in everybody's head. So Giddey took it, he's like, uh-oh, there's LeBron. This is going to get blocked. I'm scared. He throws it up.
Yeah, he's short.
And I'm like, LeBron deserves credit for a block.
And that should have won.
And that should have been the game. I was like, that ended the game. But it didn't.
So Giddey goes from being the GOAT in a negative sense to the hero. He shot it with confidence. And look, let me say, and you talked a few, earlier in the week about how Kobe White has been playing great basketball. You know who else has?
Josh Giddey. Josh
Giddey. These are his numbers over the last 2 months.
Yeah.
21, 9, and 8 on 51, 49, and basically 80% splits. I mean, those are all-star numbers. So I don't know what the Bulls have going. They've won 9 of 11. I'm not expecting anything from them this year. But in Kobe White and Josh Giddey, I mean, we'll talk a little later about who's going to get Cooper Flag. Could you imagine if they got in the lottery?
Well, so can
but that's a nice. Giddey's playing well. Good for him. He shot it with confidence, and good win for the Bulls.
So Giddey in his last 10, his points, rebounds, assists, like around 220 points, over 95 assists, and over 100 rebounds. Like, doing that over a 10-game stretch has only been done by 8 guys in league history, and they're all the guys you would think. They're like triple-double machines of history, and then him. And I'm giving you the rough numbers. Right. I'm crediting the Bulls stats people who put out the tweet. He was an interesting guy because there was a time when the Thunder loved him, and it's like, oh, man, player. He was good. Yeah, and then his total refusal or inability to shoot in the playoffs last year is what made them flip him for Caruso. And a lot of people thought the Thunder got an absolute heist because it's a guy they couldn't play. Mm-hmm. Yeah. He has it. I don't think, listen, on that graphic, he was 48% from 3. I don't think he's going to keep that type of shooting up. But as long as he doesn't have, people were worried he was going to, little Ben Simmons-y, in that, okay, he can do everything, but he won't shoot. If he, allows himself to shoot, he is a useful player. There's no question about it.
And he's not going to shoot 49%, but if he shoots 38%.
He shoots 33%. A player like that can
I think he'll shoot it. I think he'll actually be a decent shooter.
Yeah. Let's zoom out now. Lakers have lost 3 of their last 4 since LeBron came back. He's not himself, averaging less than 18 points and shooting 8% from 3. Meanwhile, this defense has gone from Tony Allen-esque to Tony Danza-esque, because I don't know who's the boss.
Who wrote that? Who wrote that? Gianna? Did you write that?
Gianna's never heard of Tony Danza? Look at this idiot.
Nick wasn't even born.
Because no one's the boss.
It was a good show. I liked it.
I know. But who's the boss on defense?
All right, first of all.
All right, you both have LA winning the West. Does this skid give you any reservations about your prediction.
Look, I'm not changing my pick, but it's concerning. Like, I'm concerned now. I'm still confident that they can, for sure, because you've got two of the best players in the league, without question. But they got some issues. And we talked about, Chicago now is 2-0 against them this year. Young, athletic team that, scores a lot of points, plays at a fast pace. Those teams can give the Lakers problems. Against the top 10 teams in pace, the Lakers are 11-8. And against Cleveland, Detroit, Chicago, all young teams that get up and down there, 0-6. Now, OKC is 10th in pace, but they're young. They can shoot it. They can get out and play fast if they want. So that's concerning. Obviously, they gave up 44 points in the fourth quarter. An aberration, but still, when their defense, as Nick said, and it's hard to stay focused and attack for 48 minutes or 46 minutes or whatever it might. So you can have lulls in a game where just one or two people aren't focused like they need to be, and it could come back to bite the Lakers. And Luka, look, again, at the end of the game, the guys were blowing right by him. We saw it against Indiana, the same thing. He's got to really stay focused. And he can't get caught up in, if he's hitting threes, looking at people and all that stuff. He's got to stay focused.
Well, when he doesn't hit him, he looks at the ref, and when he does hit him.
Right. When he does hit him, he gloats in front of everybody. So he's got to be focused in. So the defense is a concern. And here's the thing, and we talked about this, Nick. When they had that 2-month stretch of the best defense in the league, which was baffling, but it was like, wow. I mean, that's what we both picked them to win.
Yeah, I mean, it was a quarter. It was 20 games. It wasn't,
right. So it made you think. But, and I mentioned it, they were teams for their defensive strategy was force the three. Like, don't give, pack the paint, force the three. And teams were shooting 31%, which is terrible against them. That's when they were 18-3, best defense in the league. Teams shooting 31%. The NBA average during that span was almost 36%. So they were getting away with a little something. Here they are since then when they've gone 4-8. Now the defensive rating's 22nd, and opponents have shot basically the league average over this span, 38. So if teams start, I don't know if it was just good fortune where teams weren't shooting well or what, but this tells you if teams just shoot average from three against the Lakers, that could hurt their defense. And that, Nick, if they don't play, they got to play league average defense at least.
Yes.
If they don't, I don't think they go in. And let me throw this in before you go. LeBron, it's been an interesting year for him. Early on, he was playing fine, but not typical LeBron. Then recently, and right before they got Luka, and then Luka's
unbelievable.
He was like the old LeBron almost, right? Yeah. And then now, since he's been back, it's only 4 games, but he does not look as good as that, even close. I mean, the stats, I know, 17 points, 8% from three, you mentioned, 42% overall. He's going to have to be great.
He's going to have to be
no matter how
great.
good Luka is.
That's right.
He's got to be as great as he was a month ago
when he
for
won,
them to have a chance.
Listen, February, he won Western Conference Player of the Month and was legitimately forcing his way into first-team All-NBA and, 5th or 4th place MVP ballots. Not based on legacy, not based on, he's LeBron, based on how he had played this year. He has not looked anything like that since he came back from the injury. It is, to me, far too reactionary to act like, well, that was all the way back in February, so that guy's gone. Like, I think he can get back to around the level he was at in February, which was, for that month, the 2nd or 3rd best player in the league that month.
He hadn't played that well in a few years. He's played well, obviously.
So, okay, so maybe not quite that straight. You know what I mean?
But you got to be close.
And I think he can. I also think that this is some of these, if he were shooting 24% from three, it'd be bad, and he'd be averaging 24, 8, and 8. You know what I mean? Or 24, 7.5, 7.5. So shooting that terribly from 3 is why the points are.
He went on one of these like long droughts. Was it last year?
He does every year of his career.
He goes in these long. He just is not good, and then all of a sudden he snaps out.
So LeBron, I said this. We talked about this a couple years ago. Actually, is what you're referring to. LeBron will finish the year shooting, call it 38% from 3, without ever having a month where he shot 38%.
Yeah.
Because it will be he shot 25% for a month and then shot 48% for a month, and he'll even out. That is how he's always kind of been. He's like streaky, not within a game, but within stretches of play. I also think coming off a lower body injury, you're probably not going to be as good of a shooter. So I think LeBron will be much better. I also think it's not an excuse, just reality. This team has to be really up to defend, and they seem to not get up for Eastern Conference teams. Like, they have been awful against the East and been only OKC's been better against the West, which is why, for me to be concerned, the next 3 games matter so much more than these last 3. The last 3 they were supposed to win. The next 3, Memphis, Houston back in LA where they've been excellent, Golden State back in LA where they've been excellent. Three teams they could play in the playoffs, 3 teams that they are jostling with for positioning, 3 teams they are playing all on regular rest. They play Saturday, Monday, Thursday, so there's no, you know what I mean? There's no back-to-back in there. I really want to see how they look against those teams because...
And then you got OKC twice.
Right. And the OKC game, I am excited to see, assuming it's a real representation of both teams. Like we talked about the other day, I'm not sure if OKC will play everyone. But obviously, avoiding the play-in, which it would be, listen, they have the tiebreakers and they're 2 losses up on the play-in teams, so it would take a real collapse for them to get to the play-in. But that's critical just from a rest standpoint. I'm not worried because I would still right now, if the playoffs started today, pick them in a series against every team but OKC without any hesitation. But I need to see how they look, Memphis, Houston, and Golden State.
Just quickly, and I know we're up against it. You're going to go to the Memphis game. Grizzlies just fired Taylor Jenkins. Do you think that we see it in football all the time?
The new coach
bounce.
I don't know enough about why.
Right. Were some players at odds with Jenkins? I mean, if that's the case, maybe that's a factor. I think Taylor Jenkins did a fantastic job in Memphis, so I don't know. So much so that the firing is so shocking you wonder if something else happened. I don't know. But yeah, like the other side of that is, are the players as blindsided as we are? And they're like, you're giving up on our season.
Yeah, it's odd.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.